disagree? Would you say the term blockbuster has changed over the years? What do you think is the biggest difference between what a blockbuster meant in the 80s and 90s with what it means in 2024? Well, so, I mean, the original term blockbuster in the 70s, where the term emerged, it came about because movies like Jaws, Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Indiana Jones were so popular that people would wait in line around the block, bust the block, waiting in line to get in to see these popular films. And so it was basically, instead of a movie's come out, I guess we'll see it at some point in time, there were these movies that became events. And in a fairly short period of time, you had George Lucas and Steven Spielberg putting out multiple movies that were events. They were big, massive, and they're breaking records. They're becoming highest grossing films of all time. In the case of Star Wars, they're selling a zillion toys. There were these events that the image of it is people waiting around around the block to buy a ticket to get in to see that movie, hoping that they can get in. Maybe they'll even get a good seat. And then you even get to the late 90s, and famously, people camped out for weeks to get tickets for the best seats to Phantom Menace. Because you didn't buy tickets in advance, you didn't have assigned seats, anything like that. So, if you wanted to have the best seat in town for the Phantom Menace, you had to get in line first. And there's a lot of demand, so people started camping out weeks in advance, or as much as if they could buy a ticket in advance, then they were waiting in line to be the first in to get the best spot for weeks. And this was in the late 90s. This was still going on. But with the rise of the internet, computers, being able to communicate with each other with technology, all of a sudden you're able to buy tickets in advance. So the idea of waiting in line to get a ticket disappeared. You stopped doing that. So then the most literal sense of blockbusters, of lines around the block, changed around the turn of the century with the internet, having online movie ticket sales and things like that. Like when I was growing up, if you wanted to find out what time a movie started, you would get the newspaper and turn to a page in the back of the paper to see what times the movies were playing at the theaters. That's how you found out the movie times. And then they had a phone number you could call, and they would list the movie times. And internet changed all of this dramatically. And then it changed again, I don't know what, 10 years ago? I don't know exactly when they started doing more and more assigned seating and less, first come, first serve. But that changed everything. So it went from you wait in line to just get a ticket. Then you could buy a ticket early, but you would show up 2 hours early, 3 hours early if you wanted to get a good seat. So that I've got my ticket, I know I'm getting in, but I want a good seat. So I show up 2-3 hours early. So you still have lines in the lobbies. Even, 2010, you're still forming lines in the lobbies for these big event films. And all of that has disappeared over the last several years, where almost everything's assigned seats and you're buying in advance, and it's just different now. It's a wildly different way of experiencing buying movie tickets. And the term blockbuster, therefore, doesn't mean what it used to mean. It used to be literal or close to literal. You're not actually busting the block, but there is a line around the block. That's entirely gone. And so then it turned from movies that created lines around the block to going, what types of movies create those lines around the blocks? Those are these big event movies that you spend large amounts of money on. They became more and more parts of franchises as the decades went along. There used to be more like Independence Day, when it came out, was an original story that was this massive event film. You just don't have that happen anymore. Everything is part of a franchise now. You don't have there's aliens coming and they're going to blow up the earth. Like, Will Smith wasn't a movie star when Independence Day came out. He became a movie star because Independence Day was a big hit. And he was good enough to lead Independence Day. I mean, he starred in Bad Boys before that, but that wasn't Will Smith. He was a TV star. He was a rapper. He'd done a few movies, and then he became Will Smith because Independence Day was great. And it was great because of him. But it was an original film with a non-movie star guy as the face of it. And so it's just very different. And so now when we think Blockbuster, it's the movies they're trying to turn into these event films. It's the movies where they're like, let's give Denis Villeneuve $200 million. Let's do a $300 million Indiana Jones film. We call a movie a blockbuster because it has a big budget. It gets even sillier where we're like, yeah, these Netflix blockbusters. Nobody is waiting around the block to get into their house to watch a Netflix movie. The term doesn't even make any sense, but we're using it to define movies with big budgets. That's not really what it means. That's not the way it's supposed to be used, but it's still, I think it ties into that idea of the movies that are supposed to be events that make a splash, that the studio puts a lot of money into, that they promote it a lot, that when you can do it right, you do a big press tour, that it's designed to get people talking, that everyone's going to go see it, and there's that urgency to check it out. There you go.
Most of these clips are pulled from my Patreon live streams. I do about 6 live streams every single month. For $2 per month, $20 per year, you can get access to all the exclusive videos and live streams. For $5 per month, you get your name on my end card. At the top tier, you get a 30-minute video chat with me each month. The link down below in the description has more information.